We have now met all of the contestants for season 9. We also have our first tap out of the season, and we might as well start out right there. I wanted to start out with the 4 new contestants, but let's just go to Jacques. As soon as he showed up on the screen, I just got the vibe that it was a tap out. The episode was, I don't know, over halfway through. We'd been focusing on these new guys, and then all of a sudden we're seeing Jacques, and almost immediately after that, we're seeing him start to go through the mental struggle, the emotional struggle. He's homesick, he's missing seeing his people, and you just knew, we were just waiting for Jacques to tap out. Like, that's just how it felt tonight as soon as he got on the screen. And it's kind of sad because he got himself, I think, the biggest fish that we've seen so far this season, potentially the biggest fish for the entire season. Also gets himself a squirrel and taps out on day 15. I think that some of the people out there in the comments were thinking that Jacques wasn't going to make it very far, and it turns out they were right. He kind of seemed like he had the skills to do pretty well, but mentally just wasn't prepared to handle 90, 100 days alone in Labrador. So Jacques is out. And let's move on to the rest of the new contestants that we met today. First off, Timogen, he had a very long intro, and as soon as I saw that, I was thinking, well, that either means he's going to tap out real early, or he's going very late into this whole season, and I would tend to lean towards the latter. On top of that, he has been putting out some videos on YouTube. I haven't had a chance to watch them yet, but now that we've actually seen him on the show, I think I will go to his channel and check those out. I'm not sure if any of you have, but I'd love to know your thoughts on him and just what he's putting out on YouTube and how he's doing in the show. Looks like he's pretty well equipped to handle surviving in northern Canada. They are reasonably close to the coast, so we're not expecting those frigid, like -40 temperatures, but we definitely will see some winter, and being able to handle yourself in winter is going to be a huge asset. We see him making use of a lot of moss in his shelter, and also made a pretty interesting fire pit. I think he called it a Dakota pit, where he dug down into the ground with the idea being to sort of optimize where the heat is going to be in his shelter. Basically, the idea being that he wants the most heat to be at the level that he's going to be sleeping, which is kind of what he aimed to do with the fire pit. So he kind of dug down a hole, just straight down, I don't know, maybe 2.5 feet deep, maybe not quite that deep, and that's going to be his fire pit. It sounded like he was going to attempt to have sort of an underground chimney system, but we'll have to see how that works out. I know smoke is often an issue for certain shelters, especially if you want to have your fire open and inside your shelter. But anyways, I think he is going to be someone to watch this season. Next up, let's jump over to Terry. Terry is a commercial fisherman, and one of the first things we see from him is that he is struggling with the fire in the damp conditions. Not totally certain what happened to him there. Basically spent half of a day struggling with that fire, not able to boil any of the water to so that he could drink, because it said that there are beavers in the area, which makes it very likely that the drinking the water without boiling it is definitely going to make you sick. He does get his fire going the next day, but did have to basically go a day without water, which probably isn't ideal for him. I definitely got the vibe that he is more of an outdoorsman and not so much a survivalist. You know, his tool set was basically being a hard worker and liking the outdoors. You know, we weren't talking about bushcraft. We weren't talking about him going on these survival experiences. We're just talking about him, you know, just liking to go hunting. So I don't know if that's going to translate into long-term success for Terry in this season. But he did get a nice fish, so at least he's got some food through the first 15 days. Let's jump over to Tom. Tom, he seems like he is going to be interesting this season. You know, he gets a squirrel right away, and you know, we're kind of seeing a theme here where pretty much everyone is getting food. And I, as a viewer, I really enjoy that, because as I said last week, I don't want to just watch people starve for 90 days to, I don't want the competition to be who ate the most cheeseburgers before getting dropped off in Labrador. I want to see who is the best at surviving in Labrador, who has the skills to survive the longest. Seems like Tom is pretty crafty. He dyed some of his hair different colors. I didn't even see all the colors. Looked like he had some green up here and some pink back there. I'm not sure if he had any other colors there, but used it to tie some streamer flies and immediately had success with those flies and caught himself a very decent looking fish. Or no, he was catching the little fish. I got all screwed up here. He was either catching a big fish or a bunch of little fish. I don't remember. Anyways, he got fish. Let's move on from there to Adam. Getting started very early on his shelter, and it really seems like he put together his shelter in very short order and did quite a good job on it. He was utilizing the moss in the sidewalls to help keep out moisture and keep heat in. Also kind of thatched his roof where he used the tarp to basically keep himself dry, but thatched the roof with, I think, spruce boughs to help keep his shelter warm. Very interested to see how his shelter is going to stack up against the winter and colder weather once we get there. But pretty impressive how quick he was able to get that all together, especially when you go and you compare to like some of the other people, like especially Terry. Terry looked like he was planning out this whole shelter, you know, threw up his lodge pole, threw his tarp over, and he basically accomplished that in the time that Adam built an entire shelter for himself. The grouse hunting didn't really go great for Adam. And, you know, we hear him talking about being worried about losing his arrows. And I don't even think that should be a question on this show. If you have a realistic shot at something like a grouse, you take the shot. Don't worry about losing that arrow. You don't get a refund for having extra arrows available at the end of the season. You know, if you're gonna lose some arrows, like maybe you do hit a point where you have to just keep arrows for self-defense, but that grouse does so much good for you that you, in my opinion, have to take that shot and should not be humming and hawing over debating whether it's more useful to have an arrow or to have a grouse. You brought the arrow to shoot the grouse, so use the arrow to take that shot. He made a nice fly rod and starts catching some fish for himself, and overall just seems like the fishing is the place to be right now, and with the right people are catching fishing. I'm interested to see if we see somebody really get a huge stockpile of fish going for themselves that will help extend them into and through winter. Maybe we'll have the first 200-day king on this season with the rate that everyone is pulling in food so far. That is going to wrap things up for tonight. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and until next week, we'll see you later.